Hello there, Qckslvrslash here, and as of this video going up, I am streaming, but today's video is going to be about the new operations. So to find them, pretty simple. Click up here, select the battle type, and you can see ranks coming back because there it is, and the medals are in game. And this is where the operations are going to be. And you can see as the dates go on, there's going to be different operations. And so far, I've enjoyed this. You can see I've made 4 out of the 5 stars. And, well, I haven't unlocked hard yet, or it's not available. And I can only imagine how much more difficult this is going to get. So, with that out of the way, I'll just tell you a few things. A, you can see tiers 5 and 6. B, once you've used a ship in an operation, you'll see a countdown timer on it. You can't use that ship in an operation again for 30 minutes. If you go to random battles, you can launch into it in a random battle. It just becomes locked in the operation mode. And I think it's to try to force people to sail different ships. But the ship today's video is going to be from is the Arizona. Tier 6 battleship. I thought it would be fun to defend a port with the Arizona, considering she was at Pearl Harbor. And it just fit well with the division, and that's going to be the final thing I talk about. When you create a division in this, and I've got no one online. You know what? I'll just confuse Green Leader here. So when you create a division, you actually can see that it can be everybody. Every single player in the game can be somebody you have personally invited, which I'm hoping maybe during my stream to put together a complete division of people who come to my streams and watch my videos. I think it would be a lot of fun. Also, it's just better because you have some say and control over what people bring, and there's some intelligence to be had. Anyways, let's jump into the battle. Alright, so here we are. We've loaded into the battle, and it's a pretty simple layout. Out here, you've got surveillance stations, which detect the enemy for you. In close, you've got some batteries. And then back at your base, you have the St. Clair, as well as a pair of Liberties. And these Liberty ships are actually really important because they sail out and repair your batteries for you, but they can also repair you. If you get inside their area of effect, you get 50 HP per second or thereabouts. So if you can get into both their areas of effects, you're recovering 100 health a second. And that doesn't seem like a lot, but if you've gotten yourself beat up early, you can retreat, you can repair, and then get back into the battle. And that is the biggest mistake I see people make. They'll get knocked down onto low health, and then they'll just suicide in to try to get a kill. And it just frustrates me because as you lose ships in this mode, you really put yourself at a disadvantage. So next is kind of how the mode works. There's this green circle. You're trying to keep the initial waves of the enemy out of, and I think it's like 6.5 minutes or something about that for the main attack to start. Now, if you keep all of the enemy ships outside the circle for that duration, when the main enemy attack starts, you'll get a tier 8 carrier loaded in. If you fail, the enemy team gets the tier 8 carrier. So that is absolutely crucial as I land a Citadel into that poor Kuma. The next thing you're immediately going to notice is the tiers. The first wave, a bunch of tier 4s. That's easy to deal with. A Chikuma, like, they're not hard ships, so don't throw yourself away. And quite often, people eat torpedoes, and I think I eat one here, but it's pretty minor damage, and that kind of brings me to my next point. Sometimes it seems like there's ghost torpedoes in this mode, and I haven't fully kind of confirmed it one way or another, but I've seen torpedoes come from places that no ship could have launched. And the kind of like masochistic, like laugh at wargaming side is maybe there's submarines in the game. And wargaming's just doing it to really piss people off and hate submarines. But I also think it could just be a glitch with the mode, because there's definitely a few. One of which seems to be once a ship has decided to start shooting at you, it won't change targets, even if you've got someone next to you on low health. So if you're on low health and someone locks onto you, they're probably staying focused in. So as far as approaching this mode goes, the big thing I have found is you do want to push out a bit, because it becomes very easy for that enemy team to quickly close the distance if everyone is sitting far back. Whereas if you're out, you know, a couple kilometers ahead of that barrier, you're shooting things sooner. Whereas if you're sitting inside the barrier, that's just that much closer they can get before you're getting effective shots in. Now, on the downside, we've got a Nicholas who has gone charging way out. And he may have done that because the waves are pretty typical. You'll get the initial spawn either here or up here, and then it just switches. So say it started up here, then it goes to the middle, then the bottom, and then the big wave from everywhere. And by the time you get to that big wave, there's Izumos coming at you, tier 9 battleships. So you do have to be careful. So you can see also the Liberty ship has sailed out on the map. It's repairing one of the batteries. And I think initially these batteries always start broken, so the Liberty ship does have to sail out and do something, which just means it's that much closer. A line of T-22 up here and completely miss. And that was kind of the name of the game for part of this. And we are going to make one really big mistake in this battle that costs us getting 5 stars. And to get all those stars, pretty simple. Just follow the instructions and you get it. The main task is just live to the end, kill all the enemies. But then your extra things are all your onshore installations and support ships have to survive, which means keeping the enemy really far kind of pushed back. If they get to these inner batteries, they're destroying your buildings and ships. You get a very handy citadel on that Isuzuchi there. And try to repeat, can I do it? I managed to get the kill with the citadel and take out one of the remaining ships. Also worth noting, the waves don't come after you kill a wave, and you can see that. The third attack has just shown up at our surveillance station. The Kaiser's still alive, and I've had a team that I've been playing with that's been really caught out because we still had like 4 ships of the second wave alive, and that whole fleet had spawned. But our big mistake is about to be made. In my experience, every single time the Lexington has spawned in as a friendly Lex is right here. Immediately north of him spawns a Mogami and a Hipper. So if you don't have a ship over here, you're gonna get caught, unable to support it, and it's gonna die. And one of the big things to do, which you'll see it pop up once the Lexington arrives, is the carrier has to survive. And he goes to full speed and starts chugging for base, but he just doesn't make it. Now I'm turning here. I was thinking of going back that way. This was one of my earlier games. We'd never successfully actually held out for the Lexington. Instead, they always managed to get into our containment. But the enemy team is still coming, and if you can bring a CV with you, it's very handy. And where it really helps is getting that vision, because some of the ships you're contending with have some very good concealment, and it just gets really frustrating. You know, these are shots a battleship can easily make. 16 kilometers, you should be getting some hits at that kind of range. And it's just frustrating not having the spotting if you don't have a carrier. And you can load without a carrier. You can load without a destroyer. The game, I think, tries to balance out your makeup, but I've seen some pretty strange team compositions, and believe me, they don't help. So I've got a Nuremberg lined up. I took the shot, and, well, defense by over-penetration. He has so little armor, it didn't stop any of the shells, and he got away with his life. So no obligatory exploding Nuremberg yet. And you can see the rest of their teams just kind of slowly pushing in. Goomba's got his torp bombers, launching them in, and using torpedoes is an interesting way of controlling this AI, because they do turn out from the torpedoes like you'd expect. And you can actually force them to turn out into complete broadsides. I absolutely nail the Miyoko there. The Hatsu quickly gets wiped out, so we're doing pretty well here. Just an Aoba, a Gade, and a Fubuki left. And there's no reason our team shouldn't make it. And that's really where we make the first mistake on this operation. Lining the Aoba up, I take the shot here any moment, and of course, I pump a couple of them into the mountainside, but some do slip by, a little far aft, still 5,800 damage, and he's gonna sink. And not having known that we get the Lexington if you prevent them from getting in here, I'm not sure what to do right now. Part of me is thinking about turning around, but another part of me wants to make sure these ships don't get in, because look how close those destroyers get. And DDs, more often than not, are what close the gap. And the reason is just their speed and stealth. If you don't have detection on them, they can really just get in close and ruin your day. I get a decent hit on the Fubuki. Savea fires his guns. Another good hit. That Fubuki's going down, and we've done it. So you can hear reconnaissance telling us, hey, your carrier has successfully entered, and there it is, the Lexington. All alone up there, we get this new task, defend the Allied carrier. And I'm so focused on making sure I don't get hit by torpedoes, I'm not going, oh no. And the surveillance station detects the York and the Gneisenau, but right about here is a Mogami and a Hipper. And the Lexington's quick, but not fast enough. And you can see it is going to defend itself, but those cruisers spawning so close is painful, and it's something you have to prepare for. Now, more of the games I've played, the first spawn has been here, second in the middle, third has been up top. So you're able to kind of push out, attack them, and you're right there to support the Lexington. But you can see this main attack force is spread out. And really the way to deal with it is, as a team, you've just got to start knocking out ships. You're all tier 6s. These are 7s, 8s, and 9s. And my gunnery goes to crap here. I can't land a big hit into this Mogami to save my life. Goomba's got his torp bombers up there. We're trying everything. We really want our Lexington to survive, and Goomba launched his torpedoes too close. That's what he gets for not being in a normal ship and exploding in one of my videos. So while we're going to lose this Lexington because he is not surviving, we're actually in really good shape. We've only lost one ship. Very often, I've come to this battle, and we're down 3 ships already by the final wave, and that makes the final wave excruciating just to try to survive through. And it is timed. Your support ships will show up at a certain time. You don't have to kill them all, but it's not easy. I'm just trying to hit this Mogami hard, and you can see, overlaid, the one shell that did hit bounced off the bow, and I'm just not doing a good job here with my aim. And of course, I need to start thinking about torpedoes from that cruiser, but fortunately it is Japanese, so they don't have terrific forward arc on those PEDs. So I'm really hoping I can just get in front of him, get him dead, and start working this Hipper. And I've got team support. The fort finishes him off. Some good RNG there, and then I get some bad RNG. The Hipper is bow in, and these German cruisers can be tricky to solve. More so when you're in a tier 6 battleship. your guns just aren't as big. And that's one of the things that makes this mode really interesting, is the first wave is stupid simple. The second wave, it's a little harder. The third wave, it's pretty much on tier. This final wave is much more difficult, and you're going to really see that evidently as the Azumo gets in close. So I aim a little higher here, really just hoping to pump some shells into the upper, superstructure, get some real damage. Goomba launches in a thing, and then our other Arizona finishes them off. So thank God one of us could do our job, and it wasn't me. Next target, obviously going to be the York, and I'm feeling pretty good. I've still got almost all my health here. You can see how these enemy ships really focus on the first target they see. In this case, the York really focusing down that fort, and it is gonna buy me a little bit of time. Unfortunately, I waste it with a terrible shot. And this is where things start to heat up. Once that fleet gets inside that kind of outer perimeter of islands, you really lose your cover, but it also means your batteries are probably down. So you've got one more pair back here, but you're really in the open, pretty close in to a lot of high tier enemy ships. And that's not normally a place you want to be at low tier or under tier. And that's where this mode, I really think, comes into its own as a training tool. Playing co-op just isn't as fun as playing a mission-based structure like this. And in a structure like this, unlike co-op where your ships are just matched 1-for-1, here you face everything from lower-tiered ships to over-tiered ships. And that forces you to learn how to play in different situations, how to maximize shots when you have them. Like that. 3,000 damage, not very good. Get the next battery off, and I was concerned about the Shratsu, but a fort finished it off with the fire, so I can kind of just stay here. And neither the Gneisenau or the Azumo are looking at me. So, well, that said, the Azumo's looking straight at me. I'm trying to decide between them, and the Azumo looks to be giving me a pretty good angle. So I aim, I take my shot, and well, that wasn't that good. So I aim a little lower, I adjust, and I sail straight into a torpedo, but I'm able to repair it, and I'm still in pretty good shape. The enemy team really is getting worked down. All that's left is that Izumo, a Tenryu, and a Yubari. This is a situation where we're going to win. And it really sucked that none of us had the foresight or knowledge to go and protect that Lexington when it spawned. But it's something I can pass on to you. The Izumo is going to eat a bunch of torpedoes, really knock it down, and for some reason it pretty much comes to a stop here. And I've seen their battleships do that a lot, pretty much in that exact location. And I think it's just they get a certain distance kind of away from you, and the AI goes, okay, it's time to slow down. I can't get close, don't want to get rammed. And it buys some time. So with just the Tenryu and Yubari left, I'm just going to wrap this up and kind of offer a few more thoughts. One, bring divisions to this. Coordinated attacks is a must. If you can't find a big division, well, try messaging me if you see me on. I'm always happy to play with anybody. I like meeting new people and enjoy playing this game.
Attention. Main fleet
B,
has arrived.
push out past that initial circle. Many teams like to sit back inside of it, and it winds up hurting you. You let the enemies get way too close before you really have a chance to fight back. Next major point, I'd say bring a variety of ships. Try different ships. I've sailed a wide variety in this just because of that 30-minute cooldown, and really found a couple different ships to be very effective in different situations. My Graf Spee, for example, having those bigger guns and 8-kilometer torps on a cruiser that have excellent arcs, very useful when the later tiers start hitting. It's a quick ship, it's maneuverable, I enjoyed it. And the final tip, just have fun. So I hope you enjoyed this. Please consider giving it a thumbs up or subscribing, and as always, I'm Qckslvrslash. I'll have another one for you guys later.